Hey guys, welcome back to SEADOGS Can Fly. This is episode 34 and we're at the end of October. Sitting pretty in 7th in the Premier League. Who would have thought that at the start of the season? We've got a game in hand over everyone above us, and if we win today we can go above Manchester City into the Champions League places. Massive games coming up. We've got 2 live com matches. The first is at home to Leeds, the second is at home to Chelsea, who sit 5th, so should be an interesting episode. Dylan Munro's been an absolute hero so far, scoring 8 goals, top goal scorer in the league, and he's developed an absolute ton since we signed him. We'll look at him in just a second, as well as the schedule and some tweaks I've made to the system. But before that, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell button to get notified of new episodes as and when it goes live, and give us a thumbs up. Let's roll the intro.
12 years in that division and they're out.
Right boys, last episode we left off losing 5-2 away from home to Manchester United. They played that really narrow, compact system that we'll probably never come up against again, and they had some new gens we'll never come up against again until we play them next time. But an absolute thumping, and a little bit worrying to see us conceding so many opportunities. We went to the Leipzig game at home and won that one 2-1. On paper, a really good result, but the worrying bit is they had 6 clear-cut chances. They should have torn us to shreds, and if it wasn't for Gomez and Delaney scoring late on, we'd have lost there. Still got our first result in Europe, so that's good. Liverpool next, 1-0 victors at home. We made a slight tactical change, which I'll go over in just a second, but Dylan Munro came up good with a header from a long throw. We then lost 4-3 to Arsenal. We were actually 4-1 down at one point and managed to pull it back, but couldn't quite get over the line to have a replay. Palm, Saltella and Ryan Williams were the goal scorers. We had a second string team out for that match in the hope that I could play my first string against Norwich and get a result, but we couldn't get over the line with that one either. It was a 0-0 draw. Again, I was playing the slightly tweaked system and we only had 3 shots on target, so that made me think twice about whether it was going to work or not, until we came up against Real Sociedad and had this performance. Real Sociedad had 3 up top for this game. Mason Greenwood, who you just saw there, making the assist for the first goal, but then it was all us. We had 33 shots, 19 of which were on target, and Grasso passing to Williams, who finished really nicely into the corner there. It was the intricate play that I really enjoyed from this, and we made another very minor switch to the system going into this match, which again, I'll show you again. Concerto is starting to evolve. Now for the Watford game, we're at home and I want to try a slightly different approach. We decided to go with a 4-5-1 with the wingers pushed up, basically taking from Concerto, but switching the positions and the roles around a little bit. Thankfully we came away with the 2-1 victory, but we did go behind early on, so we're quite fortunate in the end. But Jorge Grasso's goals were simply stunning. The first one, he cut inside, made it himself, scored a corker, and the second was really good as well. He was showing that his aerial reach is still a big threat even in the top flight. Next up was Fulham. This one was away from home and we were back to Concerto but the tweaked version. We won 4-1, absolutely smashed them. Dylan Munro got his first for a penalty, but the next 2 goals were really impressive, showing that speed and clinical finishing is so important for this tactic to work. And then going into the final game that we're going to look at, it was Feyenoord that we beat 2-1. Saltella and Palm scoring. Again, we played a second string side because I wanted everyone rested for the Leeds United game, which you guys are going to see in just a second. Let me start by trying to explain where Concerto was going wrong. So, we used to have a false 9 here. We used to have an inverted winger here. All and good, but the false 9 was dropping deep and the inverted winger was trying to cut inside to get his crosses in. We were getting crowded out. There was no space for this guy to cut inside in the first place, not to mention the fact that the fullback was then trying to overlap, so it's all getting a bit congested. That also left the advanced forward isolated up top on his own, so whenever he did get the ball, he didn't really have a second strike partner supporting him. Maybe had someone cutting inside every now and again, but not often enough. So what I decided to do was put the advanced forward back attacking rather than the false 9 and ask him to roam from position. That way he should do the same as the false 9 but spend more of his time on the defensive shoulder, giving us more options. That's now opened up space for what was the inverted winger to be an inside forward, and that's because Grasso's so quick, he's so skillful, and he's really good on the ball. So playing him as an inverted wing wasn't really taking advantage of that driving run that he can do inside the box. That also, as you saw in some of the highlights, opens up the opportunity for him to get on the end of headers as well, and I feel like it's just made the whole system tick again. It also means when we play on the cautious mentality like we did against Liverpool, there's more opportunity to hit that ball over the top because we've got 2 strikers there to receive it. The issue with the false 9 is that he was almost dropping into a midfield role, which in some ways was good, especially for the lower league, but now we're against more difficult sides, it's getting much harder to score goals, and that's why I've made the switch. The other thing that may happen with the system going forward is I might change this winger onto inside forward role as well. Keep it on support duty, but the reason for that is because we have Alvarado in. He's finally got a work permit. I didn't even have to register him because he's an under 21, so he can now play. He's from Costa Rica, he's got 24 caps, hence why I got the work permit eventually. He's got lightning speed, good skill, good dribbler of the ball, really good all-round technique, so I can't wait to see what this kid can do. He can play from the left, cutting inside, and a support duty is his favoured role as well, so he is perfect for what I may want to do going forward. And the real inspiration behind that was the fact that I started tweaking around with this system. The idea is we pull the other striker back into a holding role, a half-back sort of role. We have the complete wing-backs really flying forward with the inside forwards, cutting inside, attacking, and it's a very counter-attacking system. I haven't had to use that other than against Watford where I was testing it out, but I'm going to have it in my pocket for when I feel like we need it in matches where this shape may struggle. But hopefully there won't be any of that happening today as we're coming up against Leeds, and that is the game we're going to go with right now. They should be playing a 4-5-1 with the wingers pushed up and a DMC. They've got loads of pace. Stevens is playing as a false 9. He is going to be lightning in behind. Really good finish. We've had issues with him in the past. White likewise, I remember him from before. Another fast customer to deal with, and looks like they've got a really well-rounded team. Could be an interesting match, bit of a tactical affair. I was tempted to go with the counter-attacking system, but we are at home, or KCOM Stadium should I say. So I thought, no, we're going to go with the system. Let's see how we get on. Now, one thing to note, we're going to have to change this defence up eventually because we really are leaking goals. And I also want to bring in another midfielder, central midfielder, someone with some actual class. Today we are going to be missing the left back, Tanguy Male, to injury unfortunately. He's had a really good start to the season, and I'm going with Luan as the advanced playmaker instead of Tezar or Gut because they've just not quite impressed me. They've been good, but they've never really set the league alight. Bowden's starting up front with Monroe, that's because of their speed. Bowden in that advanced forward role is definitely preferred to Saltella for me personally, and that way at least we've got Saltella off the bench, who is a real high class player. Let's kick the game off. Come on, you SEADOGS. We've got a corner. Yusuga plays it short to Luan. Luan back to Yusuga. Nicely crossed, and Grasso with a header. That is how you score a goal. What a team move that was from the set piece. 6th goal of the season for George Grasso. Yusuga with an assist. Really great to see. And I love the way this was worked. Luan working his way inside, getting the ball to Suga. Lovely cross. And Grasso is so deadly in the air. Reminds me so much of Lacour in that way. Another highlight is McCall goes forward with the long throw, picks up the pieces, gets a cross in to Monroe, the Scotsman, and he can only hit the post. But Stevens is on the counter-attack with that agility and speed. He was outnumbered, but he's got support now as Katuku, Gibson the left back, and easily cleared. We're dealing with their attacks very nicely here. I'm loving the way we've got the numbers getting back despite having an attacking mentality. And we come forward again. That high press has worked really well, and Bowden scores. Fantastic goal. Grasso pressing all the way to the byline there. I believe he's got a real aggressive personality. Grasso, yeah, 18 for aggression. You really get to see that as he closes play down. And I don't know why, but having the 2 advanced forwards just seems to aid that pressing game. Fantastic display so far. We're on the 34th minute, only 10 minutes left of the first half. Leeds haven't had a sniff. And every time they get the ball in that sort of position, they've got no support whatsoever. It's really easy for us to win the ball back. Luan, the advanced forward, a playmaker, passes to Gale, to Grasso. Luan, over the top to McCall, the Scotsman. Can he find the other Scotsman? No, he can't, but he can find George Grasso, who slides the ball into the bottom corner. Great assist there from Darryl McCall, who's only filling in for Malay, remember. And we are absolutely rampant. The SEADOGS, dare I say it, are going for Europe. Is it possible? Is that too much of the dream to go for the top 6? Maybe even the top 4? We'll have to see as the season progresses. It's those games away from home that are going to make all the difference. And White's just been booked for Leeds, and we have a free kick. Now, usually they don't show these highlights. Ooh, unless something's going to happen from it, and it certainly does. 4-0. Wonderful free kick from Luan. I didn't even know he had great set-piece taking ability. I'll have to check that after the game, but Wardle picks up the pieces and scores his first goal of the season. He's been a bit of a problem actually, Luan, so I'm hoping if he has a couple of good performances, he might start to settle. Leeds with their first highlight of the half. Bessia picks up the loose ball to the centre-back, and then Bogus scores 4 minutes into the second half. Okay, let's just tell the lads to concentrate here. I don't usually like using that shout, but the last thing we want to do is be giving away another goal here, because this could turn into a problem. Leeds have not been in the game at all, and I don't believe this. Stevens almost got him behind. Right, boys, it's time for some changes. I'm going to bring Grasso off for Angel Gomez. I also want Alvarado on, and I'm going to change him to the inside forward role, like I said I might be doing. And we're going to have Munro off, and I'm actually going to get on Saltella in his stead. Really good performance though. Yes, we conceded at the start of the second half, which is a bit worrying, but Leeds have only had 4 shots, 3 of which were on target, so we've definitely limited them, that's for sure. And this is where both advanced forwards are so good in behind. Bowden was terrible with his finishing, but you saw how they were both going in behind that back line of Leeds. It works very, very well for that. Whereas when you've got the false 9, you've only got one advanced forward on that shoulder. And generally, that's why I think we were losing so much possession, which was then gifting opportunities to the opposition. And that is the end of the game, guys. A fantastic result. 30 shots, 14 on target, 3 clear cut, 2 half chances. The SEADOGS are second on 23 points after 10 games. This could be a bit of a fake high. Generally, when you go up, teams completely underestimate you, but you never know. Let's see what happens in the next game against Chelsea. Right, boys, we're almost at the Chelsea game, but before we go there, I wanted to show you a pretty cool graphic. Leading development clubs for the Premier League. We are joint second with Arsenal and Man United, Chelsea atop. They've produced 19 players, we've produced 16 Premier League top flight players. And yes, most of them are still at the club, but that is really impressive, I think, to come into our first season and be able to produce such good youngsters. Scarborough are going to be going through in the Europa League by the looks of it. We're on 9 points, Leipzig are on 6, so we may even top the group. We've got Feyenoord coming up next, so a draw there I believe secures us our place in the next round. This is the Chelsea lineup in theory for the game. They've got Martinez up front. He's going to be a bit of a nightmare to deal with, but it's the wings that I'm really worried about. They've got Fabre from the left. He's really, really fast. Such a skillful player. 19 flair, 17 dribbling, and 17 technique. He's going to be impossible. Zaniolo, we all know what he's capable of. Such a good all-round player. And they've got Bishop in attacking midfield, who is just disgusting, in all honesty. Probably one of the most well-rounded players in the game this year for me. They've got a decent backline. They've got Bentancur and Berg in the Mazzala role. He's going to be a handful, can shoot from range. And yeah, we're going to be going with the 4-5-1, sticking with the attacking mentality. But what I'm trying to do is stick the half back in there to try and deal with that threat from Bishop. And hopefully just give us more bodies back. And then we can counter with these complete wing backs, with the inside forwards cutting inside. That means Alvarado gets the nod ahead of Yusuga, who would usually play, and we brought Guttin into the deep line playmaker role because he can pass and he's got good vision. De Jong's playing in the half-back role. He's usually a centre-back. We don't have a recognised DMC, so I don't really have much of a choice. Come on, you SEADOGS. Well, the first highlight is actually a free kick and almost a goal. Fabre there with his 17 technique. Thankfully saved by Lejeune. Now, I'm never usually really a fan of playing one up top because they just get so isolated and it's a danger for giving away possession, which is what we're seeing a lot of right here. But we've seen very few highlights, and Chelsea have actually only had one shot on target, which was that free kick over the bar from Grasso. So we are actually nullifying their threat. They've had absolutely no chances. Now, we haven't created naff all either, but bear in mind we're against a far superior team here. So to be 0-0 at half time, maybe there is legs in this system, possibly. Just going to see out a little bit more of the game, see who the next highlight goes to. Gut, the deep line playmaker, to De Jong, to Luan, to Monroe, out wide to Alvarado. He's cut inside, and oh my days, what a goal! Alonso Alvarado with his first goal of the season, set up by Monroe, who's been the lone strike. He's really struggled today, but this is a fantastic team goal. Alvarado skips past his defender and slots home. Well, I'm naturally going to stick with the system as it is because this is going really well. I'm also going to get Gary Bowden on up front. I'm going to bring Grasso off and get Gomez on, a fresh pair of legs. And I think we'll make a switch in this middle. We'll get Luan off for Gale. Right, let's see if we can hang on to this result. 68th minute, we're on to the 70th now, and we've got another opportunity. De Jong throws one in, and that's allowed. Lucas Delaney makes it 2-0 against Chelsea. This team is so much better than we are. It is unreal, and yet we're still managing to beat them. This is all down to the system for me. I don't think we'd be able to do this if we were using Concerto. Not a chance. So with literally 8 minutes remaining, we've had 12 shots, 6 on target. We've had a clear-cut chance and 4 half chances. Chelsea have had 2 shots on target. One of those was in the first 2 minutes, and it was a free kick. Alvarado offside there, unfortunately. But yeah, to limit them to those chances, this is really exciting for having a backup system as more of a counter-attacking style against the bigger teams like Chelsea for the save. This is going to be really interesting to see how that holds up against like a Man United and teams in Europe. Right, boys, well, that victory actually puts us top of the table. United can retain their throne if they win the game in hand, but on 26 points after 11 games, only losing 1 match, and that was against Man United, is really impressive. Grasso's on 7 goals from the wing, Monroe's on 8 goals. We're scoring left, right and centre. Yes, the defence is really leaky, but I'm going to be addressing that. We're going to be spending massive money in January, so come back for the next episode, because you're going to get to see by far our record transfer. I mean, like, break the bank record transfer, and that's because I'm putting all my chips on getting European football next season, and we're getting a central midfielder. He plays for a team beginning with B, and he's not a new gen, and he's one of my favourite players in the game. So stick it in the comments who you think that is. I'll be interested to see if anyone gets it right. And we're getting him cheap, by the way. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back just after the January window starts, so you can get to see those transfers. I'm not sure what the LiveCon games will be, but we'll see. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell button, and give us a thumbs up if you enjoy the episode. Thank you so much for following. Your support is much appreciated. I'll see you next time, guys.